Hey, marijuana stock traders, checking in on the sector now that we have some initial results from the election. Big win in a lot of states that had their individual votes and a lot of uncertainty as far as the Senate and any federal changes we may see. Let's see how our individual names are responding, and congrats to the Bulls.
Introducing the Chart Guys Swing Report, a weekly digital publication that uses technical analysis to identify long-term market opportunities. Understand the market from a swing trade perspective. Follow institutional money as it rotates from sector to sector, and make the most of the Swing Report's weekly trade opportunities, with key entry and exit levels provided. Performance is tracked and updated weekly. For more information, visit us at chartguys.com. Now, let's check out some charts.
So I'm recording this video a bit before the market closes. It is just about 2:45, reason being it gets dark early and I don't want to be on the computer until it's dark. So looking at CGC, again, I don't have interest in Canadian MJ names. I have been day trading CGC a little bit during this volatility, but overall I've been focused on the US MJ space for the past couple of months because of the election, and that is where the attention is today again as well. CGC is down big time the last 2 days from that big spike up that we had, and we keep seeing these bull breaks with a lack of follow through. And if we want to zoom in, we can draw a 4-hour uptrending resistance line. And essentially, I'm just watching the daily high or lows. So bull breaks with a lack of follow through. Support was down at 1811. We held that level today at 1832. Earnings are going to dictate whether we confirm a monthly trend change by breaking 2219, or whether we set a monthly, or I should say, or whether we start weekly consolidation to be looking for a weekly high or low. So why are we seeing a big shift now with the Canadian names comparative to the US MJ names today? So essentially, we had a clean sweep for the bulls as far as Arizona, Montana, Missouri medical, and New Jersey recreational. And that is a great sign for all names that are already established as MSOs and benefiting from the US MJ market. What we don't have is clarity in the president. It's looking like Biden is leaning towards a win, and we don't have clarity in the Senate. And that is absolutely needed for any federal changes. And without federal changes, the Canadian MJ names are going to be boxed out again from the US MJ sector. So that little piece of uncertainty, it doesn't matter to CGC that New Jersey is full on recreational now, because CGC can't benefit from that. So keeping that in mind, and again, earnings are coming up, and that's going to be significant as far as short-term momentum, whether we get a bullish or bearish reaction. If earnings were not happening, I'd be watching for the bulls to try and change the hourly trend. We would have to hold the low of the day, break 1957 to do so. If the bulls could pull that off, I would just be looking for a daily lower high compared to 2167 on this bounce attempt. So now moving on to the US MJ space, IIPR is exploding. Kramer highlighted it, and we just double topped with this high. I would absolutely be top fishing and entering a bearish position because of how extended the bulls are on this bounce, but we have earnings after hours, and that's going to dictate whether we get a new all-time high or a triple top at the all-time high and have to pull back for a daily high or low. We could have a 10% bearish reaction to earnings at this point and still be looking for a daily high or low to try and form due to the size of this bounce. If it's a bearish reaction, it's a potential head and shoulders pattern, with this being our left shoulder, this being our head. Although at this point, the size of this bounce is obviously massive enough that that pattern is out the window a little bit for me. And what I care more about is obviously the triple top at this all-time high, 139.53, and now a double top in the 136s. Hourly, easily favoring the bulls, looking like the potential of some hourly consolidation underway, and we'll just be looking for an hourly higher low to form on this pullback. GRWG, not really benefiting today. Definitely a green day, but we're not breaking resistance, and on this bounce, we have our high of the bounce, of the entire bounce over, a couple month span, our pullback to hit our low, which lost the daily uptrend, and now we're looking for a daily lower high compared to 2133. As far as the weekly chart is concerned, all-time high, low of the pullback, lower high. If it's a bullish reaction to earnings, our weekly high or low will very quickly be set, which will keep this chart very favorable for the bulls. If it's a bearish reaction, we're going to have more of a weekly equilibrium, and we'll be looking down at 1584 and 1311 on any bearish earnings reaction. So both IIPR, CGC, GRWG, earnings are all coming up, and obviously that's going to dictate short-term direction. I just realized I've got the setting sun on my face. So we've got MSOS. This is the volume. I want to see $5 million traded every day. And we're now seeing that 2 days in a row. The question is, can we keep that up? And can we increase this 20-day average volume line to get to the point where we're trading $5 million every day? That, to me, would be a notable hurdle for the bulls to get over, because without that, it's very low volume, and the ETF wouldn't mean a whole lot to me. If you start putting up $5 million every day, that's going to start meaning something to me. And certainly, I will be paying more attention for the potential that money flowing into this ETF is helping the entirety of the sector, as opposed to low volume, where it's essentially just the ETF tracking what the individual stocks are doing. So I'm keeping an eye out for that. It's an all-time high, multiple days in a row, and we'll watch the hourly uptrend there. As far as our individual names, and just a note that I believe Kramer is going to be talking about the gambling stocks and marijuana stocks today after hours. That's something to be keeping an eye on. He's already talked about GTBIF, and GTBIF is standing out as the most bullish MSO out of the major four recently. Look at the volume. We're about to have the highest dollar volume that we've seen in a long time. We have significant buying of the dip. We saw an initial dip this morning in all USMJ, and essentially it was the baby being thrown out with the bathwater, where Canadian MJ had a significant lower open trading pre-market, and USMJ dropped right in response to that first thing, and then significant dip buying took place. So GTBIF is in an area with no resistance nearby. Clearing these 16s, we can see the next level we're looking at is up here at 1984. Clear continuation, and bulls in complete control, trying for a little hourly bull flag here into the end of the day, and overall a very strong day with very high volume. Lack of resistance is why I'm putting it as one of the lead technical bulls at this point in time. CURLF, trying to set a quick little daily high or low. We broke the high of yesterday, but only by about 1%, just over 1%, and that's not convincing. And now the pullback is significant enough that we're going to be looking for an hourly equilibrium. We've got our low, high, and we're looking for a higher low, but again, bulls just not keeping up as much momentum as they would like to see, and not entering an area with the lack of resistance. If we can convincingly get over these low 10s, the next level that we're looking up at is far away. After 1031, we're looking at 1080 and then up to 1112. But currently still seeing some resistance in the low $10 range, and curious to see if the bulls are going to be able to maintain this hourly uptrend into tomorrow. TCNNF, again, bulls bought the dip. I was one of them. I exited all of my USMJ positions yesterday, locking in on that profit. Again, that's a conservative approach. If I'm wrong and we rip today, I leave money on the table. If I hold my positions and I'm wrong, I give back profit. I do not want to be giving back profit. I like that profit, so I locked it in. So that had me all cash and very comfortable to buy dips this morning. I got a really good fill on TCNNF. I market bought and got filled with an average of 22.86. So up very comfortably from that entry. But like Curaleaf, we're not breaking resistance convincingly. We broke resistance by less than 0.5%. And so I consider that still essentially a bit range bound. And the last thing the bulls want to see is a 4-hour rising wedge. Again, I am not attached to these short-term positions at all. Why am I not just buying and holding? Number one, I'm a trader. And number two, I have a rule from trading OTC stocks for the first 4 years of my trading career. If it's on the OTC, you cannot just buy and hold it. And that's just a rule that I will live by forever to prevent me from making mistakes that I made in my first couple years of trading that I never want to make again. So yes, you can say it's a bit of a different scenario because it's a new sector and we're restricted legally from being on higher exchanges. That's all true, but it's a simple statement. If it's on the OTC, I am not a long-term investor. And as long as that is the case, that's just one of my rules. So I will continue to trade the sector. I can't wait until we uplist and we have significant dollar volume. These days, these MSOs seeing $15 to $20 million traded is a big volume day on a day like today. And a low volume day for CGC is $100 million traded. So it's a very different world. And as long as that is the case, I am extra protective and extra cautious. So I will hold my TCNNF position because I got a good entry. I did add on this hourly consolidation, but now the hourly consolidation getting a little bit more significant. Still a possible bull flag. And I may exit my second half, but because my initial entry is so good, I'm just going to use this low as my stop. And it will have to be manual because I can't put a stop loss on the OTC position. But if we break 2270, I will exit and be back to all cash in the space. Essentially just rebought this morning half of what I exited over the past week. CRLBF also range bound 783, 779, and 785. Have to get over these levels convincingly if we're going to open things up and allow for ease of movement like GTII and GTBIF are seeing. So 3 of the 4 are still range bound, and they want to do exactly what Green Thumb is doing, but they are unable to do so at this point. Of course, another factor on all of this is the S&P 500 is absolutely ripping today for the bulls. So I can say CGC is extra bearish because it's not impacting that at all. You know, SPY right now is up almost 3%, 2.8%. And that's definitely helping the USMJ space as well. I know we're going to have to see daily consolidation on SPY. This is an equilibrium on the weekly time frame. What if we form a lower high compared to 354 and have to pull back for a higher low? In my opinion, that would suck away some of this bull momentum from the USMJ space. So I am very protective, and I will be back to all cash very quickly if we see short-term momentum leaving the sector. That being said, we'll just be looking for weekly higher lows in all these names that have had a great last couple of months. A couple smaller names that I'm not interested in due to dollar volume. HRVSF, Harvest Health, is also range bound. Higher open because of the OTC market makers and their shenanigans into a huge pullback yesterday. Same thing today, but essentially we are unable to break $2. It's a bit of a double top, and we're going to be looking for a daily higher low compared to 132 if the current inside bar were to break bearish and look for further pullback. TRSSF, nice new leg up, nice solid bull volume, but again, this is the kind of volume I need on a daily basis if I'm interested. $5 million, okay, I'll start watching things. But when you're going back down to, $2-3 million, it's just not enough for me. That's me personally. Anything above 556 is a daily higher low. And as far as the weekly time frame is concerned, we are now looking up at the next resistance level of 701. We rejected from that today, and look at the lack of resistance over $7. So that's a key short-term resistance level, and we are still in an hourly uptrend at this point. Another factor is earnings coming up for the USMJ plays. The last time around, we saw a run-up into earnings, and we saw a sell-off on the earnings as part of a sell the news kind of reaction. So we're going to be watching the earnings reactions here as well. And I will probably be all cash for that because, again, as far as I'm concerned, that's a bit of a gamble. I just want my slow grind, base hits, little profit every day, and made a swing. Back over the last 2 months was more swing trading than I've done in the last couple of years because of this sector. So now I've gone back to all cash. I'm back in the zone as far as day trading is concerned, and going to be very picky for swing trades from here. Give me weekly consolidation, give me weekly higher lows, and that'll be a bit different. It's still entirely possible if TCNNF can't break this all-time high that we're going to see a weekly equilibrium form here. So I would look for an entry on a weekly higher low, but I don't want to sit through weekly consolidation and get back profit. So congrats to the bulls. Establish your game plan. I know what I want to do, whether I'm holding through weekly consolidation or not. You need to answer that question yourself. And that's that. Let's see what we get as far as some Senate results and whether Biden's going to be coming in. And if Biden is president, we know that on his agenda is going to be some federal medical, which could potentially lead to rescheduling, which could open things up as far as banking and uplisting and things like that. So obviously that would be a nice little short-term catalyst. That being said, I'm seeing a lot of other sectors starting to price that in. Private prisons are dumping. We're seeing the healthcare sector go up. We're seeing USMJ go up. So I do believe that the market is pricing in a little bit that Biden is going to be the winner, and we'll have to see how it plays out. Have a good rest of your day, do good things, and we will see you soon. So a little bit of history here for the end of the video. My good buddy Graham that I lived with back on the community farm, back when I started the Chart Guys, he was the friend of mine that was an entrepreneur that helped push towards the creation of the Chart Guys, and we also decided to go big on ETH together. It was the kind of thing where I said, I've invested in my first cryptocurrency, and at that point, I had, a half of what is now a day maker in that position. And he said, oh, really, what's that? And I gave him some information, and the next day he walks into the kitchen and goes, I'm all in ETH. And so a day after that, I said, all right, I'll go big too, and went big into ETH, fully accepting that, I could lose half my money, and it worked well. So he ended up buying a property about 35 minutes from me. He's got about 30 acres, and he's in the process of transforming it into a retreat kind of place. So he's got the wood fire sauna, and it's right next to a cold pond. So we just got into the sauna, got all sweaty, get out, dive into the cold pond, stay in there as long as you can, and a really fun, relaxing, nice routine. More bulbs for planting. I already did a bunch along here last spring, but we can always fit more.
Most things we got here already. There's mushrooms and corn that are still going, but they'll be ready at 5-ish.